So, after two movements that showcase both Beethoven's debt to Haydn and the ways in which he left him behind, the third movement of Opus 2, number 2, a scherzo, has much less of a direct connection to him. Haydn's piano sonatas didn't have minuets or scherzos, so while this movement does still have certain elements of a Haydn style, it doesn't have a direct link back to him. And thus, in the name of sticking with today's theme, I won't spend too much time on it. You should at least hear it, though. This is the scherzo minus the trio. So, Beethoven called this movement a scherzo. Sometimes in the early period he would choose the more traditional minuet instead. In actuality, this particular movement is somewhere in between the two, the courtly dance and the jokey scherzo. The first couple of bars, with their light filigree, lean scherzo, but the ensuing second half of that phrase is pure minuet. This juxtaposition plays out throughout most of the movement. The extended minor key phrase in the middle would be totally in place in a minuet. But the ending, with the return of the 16ths and its offbeat, intentionally clunky accents, is nothing but a scherzo. The minuet is a form that Beethoven would eventually leave behind for good, and so this push-pull between minuet and scherzo in this movement is further demonstration of Beethoven embracing his roots while also struggling against them. The trio of this movement is in A minor. He even calls it a minore rather than a trio. This is quite typical of the early period. Opus 2, number 3 and Opus 7 also have trios in minor keys. Here's the Opus 2, number 2 trio. The source of drama here is pure Beethoven, really. He places accents on what, in their absence, one would suspect would be the weak bars of the phrase. So instead of we get with the accents jabbing at the music, giving it a confrontational quality, which eventually leads to that echt Beethoven climax. I'm sure if I dug deeply enough, I would identify minuets from Haydn's quartets and symphonies with notable similarities to this movement. But I don't want to oversell the similarities between Haydn and this work, or between Haydn and Beethoven generally. This movement is modest and not especially forward-looking, but Beethoven's personality still asserts itself at many corners.